Hi, I'm Jeremy Fisher, and in this video, I'm going to give you 6 quick tips to get started playing bottleneck slide guitar. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. It will help keep us connected so I can bring you more videos like this. Before we get too far, I just want to point out that I have a splint on the middle finger of my left hand. That's not part of this, but it is a finger injury. I have to wear this thing for 8 weeks. So it is one of the reasons that I'm doing a slide tutorial right now. And tip number 1 is not about the slide at all. It's actually about the tuning of the guitar. You'll notice when I strum this open, I'm playing a D chord because I'm in open D tuning. You can play slide guitar in standard tuning, but there are also many open tunings you can use. I really like this one because it just requires tuning down a couple of strings and it's a nice big deep sound on the guitar. So how do we get to open D tuning? In case you don't know, I take my lowest string, my 6th string, I drop it down from an E to a D, and then my 5th string and my 4th string both stay the same at A and D, and then my 3rd string drops down a half step to F sharp, my 2nd string drops down a full step to A, and my 1st string drops down a full step to D. So open D tuning is D, A, D, F sharp, A, D. So obviously, my open chord is D. At the 5th fret, I've got G. At the 7th fret, I've got A. And then up at the 12th fret, we're back at D again. So you can play the blues all day long. Tip number 2, okay, let's talk about the slides. I'm using a big brass slide that's a pretty heavy gauge. And I like a heavy gauge because it gives me lots of sustain and helps with the volume of the notes that I play with my left hand. But it may not be right. I don't see a lot of people playing these, so it may not be right for you. It's actually best for a guitar that's got higher strings, and I would recommend for getting started something like a steel nickel-plated medium gauge slide. You can see the difference here. I'll hold them up. This one's a little bigger and thicker, and this one's just a bit lighter, and it also sounds great. And it's a little more forgiving with lower action. This is probably where you want to start. I would recommend you don't overthink it. Just find something inexpensive and common. Should cost you about $10 to $12. If you have very light action or you're playing electric guitar with very light strings, you might want to go even lighter, and for that, you can find a glass slide. This I don't use a whole lot because I find that with the glass, it's a little hard to keep the sustain. Now, sometimes that's a cool sound if you want it to sound just a little bit funkier, but I don't use my glass slide that much. But these are the sort of 3 of the options. Now, there are many, many more slides out there with different cuts and different shapes and so on, but these are 3 fairly standard size slides that you'll find. Tip number 3, let's talk about the action on the guitar. What I mean by action is the distance the strings are from the frets and the fretboard. So really seasoned slide guitar players will probably have 1 or more guitars set up for playing slide with higher action. The reason you would want that is because when you play slide and you press down with lower action, meaning the strings are closer to the fretboard, you can bottom out and knock on the neck and just hit the frets, and it can make sounds that you don't want. So if you're getting a guitar professionally set up to play slide, go for slightly higher action, but so that you can still fret notes with your fingers if you want, because you're probably going to do a combination of the 2. Tip number 5 is all about the right hand. So I'm finger picking. You can play slide guitar with a flat pick or just with your thumb or whatever, or you can use your fingers to finger pick. I like using these National stainless steel finger picks on my 2 fingers and a plastic D'Addario thumb pick on my thumb because it gives me a little more volume and it gives me a brighter tone. So, just to compare, that's with the finger picks, and then without finger picks, it's a slightly softer attack, and I find I tend to dig in when I'm playing slide, so I can kind of wear down my fingers and it can hurt. So I do like the finger picks for protection and for tone. And while we're talking about finger picking, I want to point out that your Travis picking patterns, if you know how to Travis pick this, alternating the thumb back and forth between the 6th string and the 4th string, you can get some great sounds just doing that. Tip number 6 has to do with the left hand. So behind my slide, I am keeping my other fingers in my left hand. So I've got my slide on the pinky. I should have mentioned that off the top. I like the slide on the pinky because I can use these other fingers to mute behind the slide. Because if I don't, you can hear this side is sliding, the sound is sliding in the opposite direction from this side, see? So if I'm not muting this side, I can get some notes that I'm not really looking for. Sometimes it sounds really cool, especially at 12th fret. When I'm down on the 5th fret and the 7th fret, it keeps it a little quieter and a little bit cleaner. Check it out. So it all depends on the sound that you want, but I like to use a combination of muting and not muting with my left hand. Okay, tip number 6, this is all about where you want to put your slide. Because you're not fretting, the frets help keep you perfectly in tune as long as your guitar is in tune. But with the slide, you want, like for instance, when you're playing the G chord on the 5th fret, you want your slide to be positioned where your slide is touching. You want to be positioned right over top of that 5th fret. So like if this is the dot, your 5th fret that we're looking at is right here, this part. So on the bridge side of the little box that you're putting your slide on. If you go in the middle, you'll be a little bit flat. See, I'll do the 12th fret in the middle. There I am right on the 12th fret. Here I am in the middle where I might put my finger if I'm just fretting it normally. That's a really important one. You want to have good intonation, which means that you're not just close to the note, but you're right on the note. And one tip is if you're going to err on the side of being slightly out of tune, you want to be a bit flat and slide into being in tune. You don't want to be sharp most of the time, unless you're looking for that as an effect. Sounds cool, but you want to slide up into the note and then find the correct note. It sounds bluesier, whereas being sharp when you're above the note, it just sounds a bit harsh and wrong, especially if you're playing with other people and they are in tune. So sliding in will be a little bit more forgiving from below the note than sliding in from above. Good luck experimenting with slide guitar. I hope it opens up a wonderful and limitless world of experimentation for you. Please visit patreon.com/JeremyFisherMusic for more tutorials, including chord charts and tabs, or to connect with me personally. See you back here soon.